For most of my life, the months after the holidays have felt like a letdown. The holidays are full of excitement, energy, and anticipation. From essentially October through December, there is one great thing to celebrate after the next, full of imagery and parties and food and music. Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas. Depending on your background or faith tradition, it could include the high holy days or Day of the Dead. You barely have time to breathe before it's on to the next. But then come January and February. And especially when I was younger, it felt like these 2 months had nothing to offer. I've never heard of anyone talking about getting into the January or February spirit. There are no special decorations or stories or music written. Even here at Fourth Universalist, post-holiday, we struggle with the small and seemingly silly things, like what colors should we have of the lights, or which decorations are wintry enough but not too Christmassy. Our culture doesn't know what to do with this post-holiday time. We know what to do with the holidays. Whether we're Christian or not, we've equated winter heavily with Christmas. That once it's over, we don't know what to do. We've crammed all the winter magic into December and left nothing over for the rest. So what is winter without the holidays? Is it just a time to wait and endure before spring? With a little Valentine's Day or Groundhog's Day or St. Patty's Day thrown in there to tide us over. It's strange, I think, and somewhat unnatural that we deprive most of the winter season of its charm by front-loading it all in December. Especially as a child, I grew up in a place where winter was a 6-month-long experience. It felt strange to spend all of our winter spirit so quickly. December isn't even the coldest month or the snowiest month, giving it no claim to be peak winter at all, except for maybe that it has the longest night of winter solstice. And the winter season itself doesn't even start until a few days before Christmas. This year it was December 21st. We've basically finished celebrating winter before it's had a chance to start. When I was younger, this made me sad because I loved the holidays and I didn't love an endlessly bland winter. A winter that stretched for months without any special, beautiful holiday winter magic. I wanted and still want to feel the whole winter is special, even though our culture decides it ends with New Year. The beauty of holidays, of any holiday really, is that it alters our reality. It changes the world for us. It invites us into a different plane of reality, of existence. When it is October, we are surrounded by the playful spirit of the macabre. We sink into the bright autumn colors and the falling leaves and the brisk air. And that it feels special because in some magical way, that season is different and it feels different. The air feels altered. The tone of our lives in the city and our interactions shift. I was once told by a minister that they loved their job, especially around the holidays, because they got to be the closest thing to Santa in real life. And that can be true and wonderful. But the holidays for a minister can also be daunting. Try as I might leading up to the holidays and Christmas Eve, I have a hard time not being stressed out about what I am going to preach on or how many of the many holiday services will be successful. It's a bit like the Super Bowl for clergy. You have to be on. Of all times, you better bring your game. It's go time. And plus, there are all the other responsibilities of life that we all share, like the stress of buying gifts, the family expectations, the feelings that we should be happy or joyful. It's not easy to truly embrace the spirit of the holidays, often during the holidays themselves. Some of us just look forward to January and February simply because they aren't the holidays. They represent the end of the stress and the busyness, a release from the expectations that we have to be in the spirit of the season, feel jolly. January and February are months where we can declutter ourselves from the clutter of December. There is something to this, I think. So in January and February, I find myself wanting two things at once. I want to be released from the burden and the stress of December, whose intensity never feels sustainable. But I also want the rest of the winter to feel special, not just wasted time on the way to spring. In the Catholic tradition, there is a concept of sacred and ordinary time. The Catholic calendar identifies two periods of sacred time, one from Ash Wednesday up and through Easter, and the other from the first Sunday in Advent through Epiphany, which is when the wise men arrive in Bethlehem, usually in early January. The idea of sacred time is similar to our general idea of the holidays. Everything is heightened, everything is special, time feels full, and things are happening. By contrast, ordinary time is the rest of the year, the time when there are minor holidays, but mostly things are normal. If sacred time is when you ascend the mountaintop for your peak experience, ordinary time is when you remain in the valley below and you work the fields. A sacred time is not better than ordinary time. It's just different. They play different roles, and we need them both. We cherish the holidays as obviously as sacred times. But if we listen to our Catholic friends, we learn that we also need the ordinary times of January and February just as much. The theology behind ordinary times is that it is a time of quiet maturation and growth. It is when the faithful reflect on their lives, how they live their truths. It's a time to go deeper and cultivate the person we are supposed to be between the noises and the expectations of those sacred times. Now, when I was a teenager, my dad used to talk about something similar. He used to warn me about what he called the dangers of conceptual commitments. This can probably give you a sense of the kind of teenager I was. He was not worried that I was drinking, or going to parties, or doing drugs. My dad was worried about me making conceptual commitments. What he meant by that is that there is a danger when people cling to conceptual ideas, when we structure our lives around ideologies or stories or mindsets. He worried that they were tempting and addictive. Sure, they make us feel connected to something bigger and grander. They can give us purpose and make us feel deeply. But they can also limit us. They can trap us. They can prevent us from going beyond them. They can clutter our minds and our souls with expectations and feelings. When they take over, they risk consuming us, and then we are no longer free. The holidays and sacred times are a form of conceptual commitments. We buy into the idea of them. We allow ourselves or are encouraged to sink into their spirit, into their stories, into the whole thing. They are supposed to make us feel full. But there's a danger in doing that, the danger that we get so full that we get overwhelmed, so stuffed full of expectations and stress that any positive thing we're supposed to get is suppressed underneath that. On the other hand, there's also the danger that we come to believe that sacred times, those commitments, are the best times, and that there is nothing of value in anything else. The wintertime after the holidays, like ordinary time in the Catholic tradition, is an opportunity, I believe, to free ourselves of conceptual commitments, to revel in the freedom that comes when you just have the world in front of you. No grand myths, no timeless traditions that try to evoke deep feelings, just a time for you and the world to be. I find this kind of winter spirit liberating. I find that I embrace it most deeply when I do the simple practice of walking in the woods. I think the woods in winter is a special place. I love them the most when there is no snow. I'm fortunate to live close to Central Park and close to the northern section where there's a ravine and a stream surrounded by trees. You can go there early in the morning and experience a freedom from whatever conceptual commitments are haunting you. What I love about woods in winter is the contrast of how sparse and yet jumbled everything is. Outside of holly bushes and a few evergreens, at first glance it is as bland as we are taught that January and February are. No bright colors here in New York, no tall mountains, no grand waterfalls. The colors are all just shades of brown. Brown leaves, brown tree trunks and branches, brown dirt, brown water. The stream is small and it runs quietly. And yet in that simplicity, there is also complexity. So many different shades of brown, beautiful shades of brown. So many dazzling kaleidoscope branches jutting out this way and that beyond count and comprehension. It is chaos on the scale the human eye does not know how to hold, yet humble and simple and unpretentious. It is a combination that for me opens me up in a way that I can't open up in any other way. When I walk in the woods, I feel free. I feel the experience of my mind decluttering, the breaking of those conceptual commitments that I have made. The simple chaos of it all breaks open my mind's attempt to understand and categorize whatever it is that I'm seeing. Defies my efforts to make pithy narratives or hold tight to rigid beliefs. There seems to be nothing there, yet there is so much. And when I get cold and when I want to return home with a new mind and a new soul that had been busted open by those woods, I can burrow deeper in that part of myself that is now opened. When we think of winter, these months of January and February, they don't and may never have the same glamour of the holidays. But we need them, I think, just the same. It is a time of letting go, a time of decluttering. We all yearn to be free of expectations that tell us we should feel or be a certain way, to be who we are, to learn who we want to be, to find what makes us full and happy and whole, separate from some holiday or tradition or sacred time that insists it knows what is right for us or what we should be feeling in that moment. Winter after the holidays is when nothing else lays claim to your heart or your mind or your soul. It is your time. In the stillness, in the quiet, in the cold, we control our own journey. As we turn into February this weekend, the spring is still far away. Look for the freedom this winter season offers. Love the cold and the snow liberated from the carols and dreams of white Christmases. Find wonder in the bare, spindly branches of the woods, and know that those branches are equal to any decorated, ornate Christmas tree. Be assured that this winter time is worth celebrating, even though all the wise men have gone home, and we have a long wait for spring flowers. Let this winter open you, free you, surround you. Allow your conceptual commitments to break open and give you new life. This winter is ordinary, but it is also beautiful and liberating. It's just a secret gem, waiting to be unearthed and have its value recognized. Its gift is a chance of an open heart and an open mind. Freedom, a new season ready to welcome us in, just as we are. May we love this season. Amen.
Here at Fourth Universalist, we take an offering each week. We do this not only to support our beloved community here,